Hi friends, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's next with microgreens. I think I can say that I've gotten past the first level, microgreens 1.0. I'm able to easily, with relatively low effort, grow over 100 grams a day for personal use and very reliably. And so I've gotten past that. Um, but the next step, I could continue to do this, but the next step is to try to reduce the workload, to maybe lower the cost, and I do want to set myself up for going commercial. So one of the first things that I'd like to do is build a grow box, and a grow box, if you imagine a refrigerator, that's what I'm thinking of. A grow box has a sealed door, and so that no rodents can get in, no insects can get in the door. It's still easy to access the shelves. And of course, the box would have a ventilation system. It would have an intake fan with screens and maybe even filters to make sure no insects got in. It would have ventilation inside the box, in other words, a fan just blowing air around in the box, and then also the intake fan. I'd like the heat to be thermostatically controlled, and that is because the sunflowers grow best at 75, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's where I would want to keep my box at. Um, I may want to add a heat exchanger. I'm thinking mainly of my situation where it's cold for most of the year. I'm hoping to temper the air coming in uh, through ventilation, so it does not have to be heated so much. I'd like to do temperature logging. I'd like to know what temperature swings happen throughout the day. Possibly dehumidification. Of course, lighting and shelving. I'd probably go with fluorescent lights. I have used these LED tape lights, and they work, but fluorescent lights seem to be easier, more reliable. I have had one of my tape lights stop working, and I'm pretty sure I can fix it, but the problem is it's stuck to a shelf, and I've got to take it all apart to do that, which is kind of a pain. So I'd probably go back to fluorescence. I would like to control this grow box with an Arduino or similar microprocessor, and that would be lights on and off, vents on and off, thermostat, heater. As far as heat goes, maybe I would use a heat mat that's used for starting seedlings. But I might need more heat than that. If so, then an electric heater would be fine. But for that small of a space, I would have to believe that even the lights are almost putting out enough heat to heat that area up. Flood and drain. I'd like to set up a flood and drain system for sunflowers, and I don't think it's really needed for the brassicas and the radish. Those only need to be watered once during their grow lights on cycle. But I would like to avoid having to water sunflowers every day, which I think I can do with a flood and drain system. I'd like to do some research on low cost medium instead of soil. Right now I'm using potting soil, and that is about half of the cost of roughly $1 a day. Um, and I would also like to try composting potting soil and reusing potting soil, and that may be the solution there. So I'll try both of those things. Um, right now I grow for personal use roughly between 100 and 150 grams a day, and I think that the cost of providing this nutrient-dense food is pretty low, extremely low, and I think I can drive it even lower by dealing with the medium cost issue. But I would like to expand. I'd like to be able to double my production, and in case I get a few clients who might want to purchase this on a subscription basis, and I really don't want to go to farmers markets because I don't like to get up at 5 in the morning. I may have to do that to get some subscribers, but even if I double my production and sell half of my production, I can probably make, you know, between $5 and $10 a day, based on what I think are market rates, and that's actually low compared to the cost that you would find in bigger cities. So I want the capability to do that, and using my grow box, so that would be how I would size it. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do all of this or any of this, because mainly my issue is space. I've got too many hobbies and too many projects that I've done, and I'm just don't have a lot of extra space. But I may work on the grow box idea. I don't think it would take a whole lot. I probably would build it out of construction foam and cover it with, well, either paint or epoxy. And I think that the other issue that I have, why I might not go ahead with it, is I tend to travel quite a bit, and now that things are cooling off at the end of the summer, that's the time for me to hit the road again. So I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with this before I take off. So those are my ideas right now. I still look at microgreens as a way to provide low-cost, high nutrient density food. I think that I've been successful in showing how well that can be done. I'd like to take it a little bit further and reduce the labor time, maybe reduce the cost, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. And there is no problem with my system now. I can continue doing it. Maybe I might want to find a way to reduce harvest time, you know, the time it takes to harvest. That's the most work of my system, and if there were an easy way to cut and capture, and I can think of some ways, like a knife that goes like this, you know, a hedge trimmer type knife, and then slide a tray down. That would probably work. I get kind of scared about cutting off my finger when I look at those things, but that would work. Maybe there's something I can figure out for that, and then I guess that would be the other direction I'd like to go, is to reduce the time I spend in harvest. So thank you for listening to another video.